Welcome to another edition of Here Are Rants, Episode 2, July 25th, 2017. You are with your hosts again, Bill.
And Sean.
And we're coming at you live, as always, from the basement here in Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah, we're alive.
We are alive. So we're trying something new. We're trying to lay it back a little bit again today. Maybe try to lay off politics a little bit more, but we're going to go ahead and...
Politics.
Yeah, politics. We're going to start in with a little personal stuff. Sean, I was just mentioning to Sean, we're looking at a house, my wife and I. The house, they were asking far too much for it here in town, $324,000. It's a good neighborhood, good house. It's got a pool, which is a good and a bad. House needed a ton of work, built in 1992. And yeah, 92 hasn't been touched since.
We had that one earthquake. I think it was like very minor.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Just swaying. My brother and I, we were up for whatever reason at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And we were walking into the... Oh, it's so bizarre. Like, what are the odds that you're up? Like, I didn't stay up all the time, you know? And we were up way late. And we walk into the damn garage. And all of a sudden, everything is just like kind of waving and dancing back and forth. And I'm looking at him like, are you seeing this? Like, because I wanted to make sure that like somehow I wasn't drugged and like tripping.
Right, yeah.
Because
exactly.
it's like, why is the whole world like just slightly swaying like in the breeze?
Wow.
And we happened to be in a good spot in the doorway.
Wow. It actually had to be in the doorway and such.
No.
Well, but it
no,
probably
we just
helped.
like randomly
Yeah,
run
it
in a
probably
doorway.
Right.
It was kind of weird, and a good spot also. Between the garage and the house, so it's like two different kind of structures. We were, yikes. Yeah, earthquakes. You're headed to Alaska. You got to know there's earthquakes. They can ruin your life up there.
Yeah, I don't like to hear that.
Yeah, no, not big ones usually. They had the big one in Anchorage.
I got a question for you. Can I carry up in Alaska?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Not in the bar though.
Well, that's fine. I don't see myself carrying in a bar. I don't see myself in too many bars as it is, per se.
I found that, so not weird, just different from Indiana. Pretty sure you can carry in a bar here.
Can you?
I don't know.
I still don't know that that's ever been a wise decision.
Yeah, it was terrible thing to do, but
terrible.
I've never done it. But
I
guess I could if it were legal.
If it were legal.
Well, you'll have to find that out.
So, anyways, house very overpriced.
Yeah,
$324,900, and
dropping it.
Yeah, we went ahead and offered $280 today.
$280 today.
Yes, informal.
There's realtors.
Yes, the realtors. Yes, the realtor
involved.
called it an informal offer, a verbal offer, just to see what the guy would say.
So not a formal. Okay, I see.
Right, not a formal offer.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's no contingencies
this
or
is
anything.
testing the waters, putting a little tippy toe in there.
Right. So we offered $280 because we just think that the amount of work that needs to be done is significant. Damaged drywall. The pool liner is 8 years old already, and I think those last. I thought I looked it up on Google, 8 to 15 years. So we're at that early part of it,
wow.
right?
Ooh.
And that's $8,000 right there to replace that, but a ton of work.
Tons of work.
And they came back. They came back with their offer.
Really?
Yes. Do you want to know? What is your guess? What did they come back at?
$299,999.
That would have been something to actually think about at least. Unfortunately, they came back at $310. Yeah, I think that's the end of that now.
Beep. Yeah, well, it was fun. It was contested number one. I watched that. What is that? The Shark Tank? No, Shark Tank.
Is that show?
What is the one that didn't have Donald Trump, our president?
The Apprentice.
No, that's not the one. Then it was the Shark Tank one with Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban. Okay,
yeah, totally. Watch that and watch these nerds like get a deal or like a bite from one of those guys, and then just totally like not take the deal over what amounted to be like 1/4%, like difference in what they were offering, $200,000 for 5% of the company.
Okay.
And they came in like, no, and the guy's like, okay, deal's over. And then they keep going and like they keep like trying to get back into this deal, and they're like, you don't understand, it's over. And like, this went on for a few minutes. It was very embarrassing for these people to think that they had a chance in hell of I don't know.
Well,
sealing some sort of deal. And
right.
Like, that's what I'm saying
Yeah,
here. Is like, these people have no chance. They're coming from, like, left field, like these nerds.
No, they have no chance.
Not a snowball's chance in Bloomington.
Yeah, frankly, the houses for 310 that we saw in the comparables that they sent us, were all done. They were finished.
Yeah,
they were ready to move into. This house...
Move-in ready.
Yeah, exactly.
One
this house
will say.
had the kitchen countertops that had a wood edge that matched the cabinets.
Ooh,
that's how mid-90s, early 90s we're getting here. Here's the other problem, too, of course, is the fact that house is even closer to all the new housing for the chronically homeless that Bloomington continues to pop up on the south side on Henderson.
Yeah. That one went up. It's like a Hampton.
Yeah. The other one's the Hilton.
Hampton for
now you got the
hobos.
Hilton. Yeah, now you got
I'm sorry, Hampton. I didn't mean to bring you in. Hamptons are nice.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. It looked nice.
But this is... If you remember on our last program, we discussed the fact that this place is 2-3 blocks away from the local high school. And now we have a second building being erected next to that one.
Did you see I saw today, I went past there, and I saw the amenities there, and they have a half tennis, or a half basketball court. I was like, damn, that's nice.
Really?
Yeah, they got pad and the hoop.
That's like nicer than I have in my... I don't have a basketball hoop at my house.
You gotta like go to the park, and then it's...
Right.
It's not even that nice. No, it's the one down at the park there, where the tennis courts are. That's crappy.
Oh, yeah,
That's
garbage.
crappy. That's crappy.
Garbage.
Yeah, wow. So, in other words, your tax money, instead of parks, somehow, maybe some of it goes to this nice ball field. You could probably go over there and, like, get in on a pickup game and, like, learn a thing or two. That's where you're going to learn in this town.
Yeah,
you
have a pickup game down there and you'll pick up bed bugs is what you'll pick up by the time you leave there.
In the parking lot?
Well, these guys check you a little too often.
Ooh, no. One thing maybe, I'm thinking more like Lice, but, whatever. Lice is a thing again. Selfies.
That's what I hear. I'm seeing, like, billboards about it even.
Yeah, we got the billboard.
Right.
Think you got lice? Google that crap.
Right, yeah,
That's
exactly.
all it says. It
right.
tells you to, like,
right.
if your head itches, Google it, which is totally good advice in this day and age, because it's going to be like, you have lice.
Right,
the internet, Google's going to be like, Bloomington? Oh, you have lice.
Well, it's a lice infestation. There's still a bed bug infestation going on as well. Let's not forget about that.
New York, I think, is like one giant bed bug.
Is it at this point?
I don't know. That's what I'm told.
New York is basically one big infestation of varmints and bugs, and it's always roaches and bed bugs and rats. And
But it's a real city. It's like a true city. Like, it's hundreds of years old and infrastructure on top of infrastructure. It's like true. Swiss cheese. Right. It really is. Like, there's shit that no one's been in like 100 years. It's sealed off. If you were smart enough, and we have the technology now, is get some Dutch maps, see what they were digging around down there, like putting some and you could, overlay it with our modern maps, kind of figure it out, and you could go down and get some Dutch treasure at the bottom of New York and some, retention. There's probably, shit people threw away that's worth something to us. Like 10 beads or something. No.
That'd be interesting to find.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
but there is stuff down there. There's got to be like that.
Well, I'm sure
Paris has the catacombs. That's more real, but...
Yeah, this sounds pretty real.
This is pretty real. It's pretty real.
So I guess, coming back to the ongoing, never-ending homeless situation here in Bloomington.
Never-ending.
As we'd mentioned in last week's show with the mayor's plan of putting lights in alleyways, adding more public bathrooms.
Bathrooms?
Right.
Yeah, I was talking about the bathroom thing earlier. I mean, it's just insane. It's like, okay, so you have a bunch of junkies, and you want to make sure they don't pee in the corner. So if you give a junkie a porta potty, they do drugs in it.
Right.
That's just a fact. It's like, it's a drug doing place. That also happens to be a place where you can shit.
Right.
Like, that's what it will be, because I'm not going in that porta potty.
No, of course not.
Most people aren't, but if somebody makes the mistake and sits on a needle, like, what next?
Well, and unfortunately, those
next?
porta potties are going to be, if you look down into them, I'm sure they'll just be filled with
with
excrement and needles.
Ooh,
yeah, and used needles, right. But you got to come to wonder that if...
And just reek like the fake weed.
Oh, of course, the K2.
They'll
right.
have the... Oh, my gosh.
You know,
that's awful smell.
I keep hearing about when the overdose is happening, that some of it is fentanyl, heroin, things of that nature. But
I hear most is the spice.
yeah, and I hear a lot of it's the spice too. So what's the deal with that? How do they treat that?
I don't think you do. Like,
so what
like,
exactly?
You definitely don't use the opiate thing.
Okay, so how are we calling this an overdose? What exactly is that the
You
correct
go
terminology
retarded?
here?
No, that's not
Right,
the right way. But you're like incapacitated, completely incapacitated.
But is it an actual overdose?
I would assume. I mean, like, what's a dose, bro?
Right. I guess what is
a dose is deadly in this case.
Apparently.
Potentially. That stuff is... Yeah. And it's...
Well, I just find it interesting because they keep making it seem... You know, the headlines in the newspapers read 27 overdoses in a week or whatever.
Yeah, they don't really break it down in that.
No, they don't break it
right
down
there.
necessarily. And then you start to wonder, well, what exactly are we doing to treat these overdoses, these supposed overdoses?
Well, you get an ambulance, and it goes from the hospital, and then it goes to the overdose, and then it picks up the person, and then it goes back to the hospital, and then there's like a lot of money charged.
Right. Oh, I understand that.
I'm just telling you that's what you asked. What's happening? And
right.
I'm telling you that's what's happening. Beyond that, I don't. It's not my business. These people's personal medical history. But I'll tell you what is my business. I don't know. Never mind.
Well, no, I'm going to say this. Is it a... here's a time for a conspiracy theory.
Oh, conspiracy
theory.
Yeah, we were talking about that in our first episode.
Right.
Was the potential for a conspiracy theory. Whoa.
So here's my conspiracy. So these individuals that overdose, say, I heard the latest number was one man overdosed 3 times in one day. Based on what you're saying, where they get taken to the hospital. Is it any wonder that these overdoses don't seem to happen at a higher rate on the days that it's unseasonably warm outside? So if they get the trip to the hospital in the ambulance and everything is air conditioned there, and
I don't think.
do they get a half a day in the air conditioning? You think so?
Well, AC is a hell of a drug.
It is a hell of a drug, especially when we've had the heat wave we've had going on here over the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, big time. Finally broke. No. It could be part of it.
Disengagement, something to do during the day until you...
I mean, violence and temperature rise are... That's not a... That is an actual causation. Temperature rises... Violence.
Well, no, that's not a causation. That's a correlation.
Oh, correlation. Yeah.
Right.
There's a correlation here, people.
Right, because they say the warm weather will bring more people outside.
Yeah, people associating with other people, not a good thing.
Never a good thing.
Especially in the places where people, might have business with their neighbors.
The streets.
Yeah, the
people
streets.
spending too much time on the streets. Loitering. I think that's where we need to address the issues here, Sean.
Loitering.
No more loitering.
Where will people go? That's the thing. They're trying to send them to some park or something. Who knows?
And that brings us into one of our points here: is the school year is around the corner.
Oh yeah, the school year.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Target.
Ooh la la.
Walk into Target, it is stocked with vacuums and mini fridges and storage cubes and microwaves, and they're getting it all set. It looks like Black Friday, only it's the beginning of the school year, just like it is every year there.
Oh yeah, no, it's quite a thrill.
It's a sight to see. It's a maze. It turns into a maze of small appliances is what it turns into in the end.
A maze, yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. But the students will be coming back to IU relatively soon, and that's an influx of how many? 40,000 undergraduate students?
Something like that.
Yeah.
A number of
a good
young
chunk of
adults
that.
from around the world.
Right.
Some of them are from Indiana, I'm told. I don't know. I've never really met those people.
I think the ones that are from Indiana are probably also the ones that stay here. Right, over the summer, wouldn't you think so?
More so.
Right.
More so, because when I lived in Muncie at Ball State, I ended eventually, I would stay in Muncie for the summer, even though I lived 2 hours away. I never came back.
Well, sure, because why would you? You wouldn't need to necessarily.
Yeah,
but,
not really, not at that point, no.
So the students, a large number of the 40,000 undergraduates will be coming back into full swing for the school year in fall, and the question is, where will the homeless population go when the students come back? Because so often during the school year, in the downtown area, you don't see them as readily available with their signs and their aggressive panhandling as you do during the summer months when those folks aren't around.
Why aren't they around?
Well, I have a feeling, obviously, something happens while the students come, but I guess with such the large influx that we've had so far this year, which has been noted in the newspaper and acknowledged by the mayor. I'm wondering if the supports they have for during the school year to hide these folks will be sufficient for this year, if that'll actually be enough to make things happen. So that is something that we will find out slowly as time comes on.
Well, in the meantime, I just will avoid the situation, as in I don't go downtown during the year. It's too much. That, and I drive a large vehicle, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, usually with a trailer attached to it.
Oh well.
Sean is falling all over the set here.
All over.
Yeah, we got a new set.
We got a new set here.
Yeah,
it's a whole new set.
yeah.
After show number 1, we got some mega sponsors.
Yeah, we
were able to
we got vocals.
move on to better sound equipment.
Yeah, we're
Donated by a local doctor.
we're recording at that doesn't even it did happen, but that's not where that's not. No. Oh yeah, I guess it was. Oh my god.
Zing!
Oh no. So yeah, we're recording in stereo.
Anyways, moving right along. Oh, let's talk about the monkeys in Florida.
Oh, monkeys.
They're still around.
They're still monkeying around, apparently. They're macaques. And, I mean, I was talking about it in episode 1 about how damn dangerous these things are. They're super territorial little bastards. They'll chase you through the jungle, and, like, that's what we have here. We have a, quote, jungle. It's called Florida.
It is.
And we have monkeys.
Yep.
By the shit ton, really.
Well,
I mean,
and the monkeys apparently were originally brought here. I thought I read.
yeah,
somewhere
it said,
that they-
there was like 8 of them brought here in the 20s or the 30s for some show. And,
Yes.
And then boom, next thing you know, you got just monkeys all over Florida.
Yeah, you had about like 50 monkeys in a
that was
man's
just
backyard.
one troop.
Yeah, feeding off a deer feeder, and that's just one troop.
Yeah.
And apparently these things more than likely spread like.
And apparently they're what do you I want to say habituated, but they're acclimatized or whatever you want to call it. They survive in Florida, which it gets cold every couple of years. It might get cold for a day. So anyway, yeah, monkeys in Florida.
Well, it goes along with again all the other issues they got going on.
Yeah, Florida. So yeah, monkeys. They're not monkeying around. They might bite people at some point, and then you're really going to hear about it in the news. That's when it's going to just it's going to get out of control.
Yeah, unfortunately, much like the homeless population here. It's
Oh
gonna
yeah, they
take
started
something-
biting, and then people got kind of
hepatitis or something. Right,
Jeez,
yeah.
Hep C is not a joke.
No, are you serious though? About the biting? I haven't heard that
I don't
story.
know.
Right? Okay.
At your wallet.
Right. Yeah.
They're very they are kind of
No, but they're spreading. It's a very similar issue. They're spreading.
and actually I saw a lot of monkeys in Indonesia.
Aggressive.
The macaques specifically, just very similar base instincts and behaviors. And when they know that you have something that they want, it's insane.
Right.
They come at you.
Well, and that's what's coming here, slowly.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of latest local news here, we did talk about on our program last week the drag queen reading.
Oh
hour.
yeah, drag queen reading hour, the Sunshine and Rainbow Room reading rally for the readily reliant. Okay, yeah, no,
But it happened.
It did.
Yeah,
It went
happened.
down apparently without a hitch. The article says so in the local newspaper.
Did you happen to see the pictures?
I saw a lot of photos.
Yes, one of them actually had like Little Mermaid type cups, like.
Oh yeah, that's right. Some seashell.
Seashell bra there.
Yeah, a lot of sequins. Apparently, the kids were. That's what the article said. Is the kids most like the sequins? Apparently,
And the kids were wide-eyed in the pictures that I saw. I mean,
yeah, like holy moly!
right.
This is wow. So yeah, nothing happened. Although, like the vibe, if I this is just my take on it from the article that I read is they were a little bit hesitant as to decide whether they're going to do this same thing in the future. Like obviously, it was quite popular, but that's not what I'm trying to say.
I have to imagine they face a lot of backlash from
Yeah,
this, even though
a lot of backlash.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think even though it was popular, and especially in a town like this town, which is, you know, a liberal
but
island.
Why so popular? Even if it is a liberal thing, why is exposing
because you
a
gotta
child to a drag queen
righteousness? Apparently,
yeah,
it's righteousness.
Again, it boils down to, you know, the sense of equality. If we want actual equality, why do we have to use a cross-dresser to create shock and awe?
Shock and awe, yeah.
Right.
Like
what's
bombing
the
them
point
with
of
books.
that? Right.
Oh yeah, Bend Over Ms. Bend Over Plenty probably has the answer to our question. And the comments in the article were about how Miss Bendova was...
was that actually her name?
Yeah, that was her name.
And that was the way it was written in the article?
Well, that's how it was written in the article.
Oh, my Lord.
Bendova.
But she was
Plenty.
probably...
Well,
Wait.
Yeah.
So she was introduced to the children.
Well, that's what
Miss
That's what
Bendover
people
Plenty.
in the comments were talking about. Is like, how did they introduce this woman? You know,
She-Man. Let me say She-Man.
Woman. See here. Yep.
I'm
For a
sorry.
while, it was a she.
Wait. These people did not identify as transgender.
No, they did not. It's men.
Right, it's men as dressed in drag. So they are not necessarily identifying as a woman.
True story.
So they are not a woman, they're a she-male. It's a guy dressing as a woman.
Yeah.
Just for shock and
And
awe.
reading to children.
Yeah, and shock and awe to children.
Total different situation, different articles between the New York thing and the Bloomington one. It seemed to... I don't know, same idea, but just I don't know.
Well, again,
the parents weren't as at least in the article weren't as they didn't sound as like uppity and all about it.
In the New York article
in the local one.
In the local, great. I mean, again, at the end of the day, Bloomington needs to stop comparing itself to major cities.
Well,
we don't need to be doing the same things major cities do,
that's
like
not our
having
fault.
a large population of homeless and drag queens reading to our children. And these are things that New York City and San Francisco and those places can have just fine, but we can't support that here. We're a small Midwestern town with
the heroin.
Right, you go west, and you go west of 37, a drag queen, you'd be lucky to make it back to this side of town.
Yeah, I've seen a drag show in town.
Well, sure, and it's
37.
It's a fun thing, Sean. I was a part of a drag
adults.
show. I was in a drag show when I was 13 years old at Rhino's here in town,
for
here
adults,
in Bloomington.
though. For kids, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But
At the time, and
teenagers.
that's the number one thing. If I've ever told anyone that story that I was in a drag show at 13, everyone says to me, "How is it that you were in a drag show contest at 13 years old? Who allowed this to happen?" Right, and of course it was Rhino's downtown Bloomington, which at the time was the punk rock thing.
It was pretty awesome.
And of course I did the drag show to impress a girl that it told me that I should be doing it so she could do my makeup and dress me up.
Oh, fun.
Right, this is the same girl who at one point I went to put my arm around her and gave her a bloody nose accidentally with my elbow. Because I was not a smooth operator at that point.
Trying to grow into your skin or something.
Yeah, something. It was awkward, and it still is to this day.
Awkward.
Right. But yeah, drag. I'm just not understanding what the motive is. What the big positive.
I think you nailed it earlier. Oh, I don't know about the takeaway if there is any, but the motive is equality.
Yeah, but again,
ideas. Apparently.
This all comes back to the whole fact that isn't acceptance good enough? Is it really that we have to celebrate all of it too? And then we have to force our children into it?
I mean, from my opinion, the acceptance and, let's just move on with our lives in society is the highest ideal possible.
Right.
And that's the highest ideal possible. And if you, go around separating everyone into these little boxes and making laws for everyone to be, individually covered in case something happens,
right,
when their difference becomes an issue, well, it's not the ideal I was talking about a minute ago.
Identity politics. Maybe that's the word of the week. Identity politics. I've heard that a lot.
Oh yeah, we were talking.
A lot of pundits say that this week.
Oh, identity politics. Okay, that may just be
talking about the liberals with their new slogan.
Of course, yeah. No, this is
the
deal. Is the word of the week is a. It may not be every week, but we're going to have a word each week. And a couple weeks ago, we talked about this. And this is old. We need to do our due diligence here and look into the history. But it goes back to Hillary and the drip, drip, drip.
Rush Limbaugh saying drip, drip, drip.
Drip, 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 baby.
He was saying that every day.
And then you get up to, now you said Maxine Waters is doing it this week. But drip, drip, drip was really popular 2 weeks ago with the whole email Russiagate, which is no longer a thing. And, yeah. The Magnitsky Act, that was last week's word.
Magnitsky.
Magnitsky. I spelled it.
Oh, you looked that up, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Magnitsky.
So, yeah.
Magnitsky. Huh.
Magnitsky.
Sounds like some kind of,
Polak
I went to high school with
I know,
in Milwaukee.
totally. Yeah,
right,
totally. It sounds pretty...
Yeah, John Magnitsky? Oh, sure.
It sounds better than Patriot Act, I guess.
I guess, right. I don't, okay, but
it's like the opposite of Patriot Act.
I want to come back. I want to come back to this drag queen thing, and of course, essentially forcing our kids to sit down. I can't imagine there were too many children that out of nowhere said to their parents, I really would love to see
Mom,
some drag queens.
I was reading the Herald Times the other day, and I heard that there's going to be this great, well, maybe they do get some email from the library, and it was like
that's fine,
targeted to these parents. Conspiracy.
Right, but I'm just saying in general, I can't imagine that every kid there was immediately all about going to this place where men dress as women, and now they're going to read you stories. Every child there probably was, their minds were blown when their parents just brought that up to them in the first place.
Well, again, the marketing, I'm sure, was mainly due to, in this town, the marketing started with that New York Times article that I mentioned in episode 1, which is like the, get it out there, this is what's going on nationwide in your little liberal villa in the heartland. And sure enough, we got it, and like we said, it went off without a hitch. It was something. It came, it went. I didn't figure there'd be much to that story in terms of like the actual thing being different than the one in New York, which is a bunch of kids see a drag queen, read a children's book to them.
Right, but again, that's New York City.
Yeah, but again, it's the internet. It's globalization.
Right,
fucking Obama.
Right. Yeah. Well, and Bloomington always trying to be on the
globalization trend.
On the progressive side of it, trying to be ahead of the curve.
Globalization.
Right. This also brings me up an article that I read about today. Photo of trans boy in Texas shows exactly who is affected by bathroom bills. And this article is about a picture that a mother posted of her 9-year-old trans son Max, who uses male pronouns and transitioned to living as his authentic self, which is a new term I've not heard yet. Authentic self. That's good. Almost 3 years ago. Which I guess I would have assumed authentic self would be what you were scientifically born as. That would be your authentic self.
Yeah, because like if I get a
you're a modified
toy
self,
that's like authentic Chinese toy, it's going to be made in China. It's not going to be American. It's authentic.
It's authentic.
And so therefore, I can't claim it's an American toy because it's authentic.
So this article focuses around this 9-year-old girl whose parents obviously have pushed and quote unquote supported this transition of this 9-year-old to make these choices for themselves.
Let me state that I have no idea the intricacies of trans minds, and
I do know that 9-year-olds don't have the mental capacity, the cognitive ability, and they haven't gone through puberty yet to be able to make those types of decisions as to whether or not they're going to be a man or a woman.
Don't you think we should all have the choice, like the Canadian kid, though?
The 3-year-old? Is that the one you're talking about?
Is it a 3-year-old?
There's a 3 or
4-year-old.
where,
a 3-year-old.
The mother
still gets to choose
in
the future at some point when they decide what their gender is.
Yeah.
And that's legal. It's legal. It's legal to choose in Canada.
I heard a doctor, a pediatrician, giving a lecture today on how this could be looked at as child abuse because they are giving puberty blockers now to children who are trying to identify as different genders and going through gender reassignment
Well, that's
therapy.
what I'm talking about. The fully
and
forming as an individual is like you want to.
You need to do
You
that
know,
before
you
make
need
these
to
types
do
of
that exactly.
decisions.
It's like,
Right.
hey, otherwise, it'd be like Argentina up in here, and every 16-year-old girl would have breast implants. It'd be
Right.
crazy.
And I don't know many 9-year-olds who on their own would come up with the idea of changing their name, changing their gender, and using gender-neutral pronouns or changing their pronouns.
I'm a full believer in the spectrum of sexuality. I mean, there's what 7 billion of us. Somebody's going to be something in between gay and straight somewhere along the way, and it's just a fact.
Well, but I'm sorry. So let me come back to this article in Huffington Post today. It focuses around a picture that the mother, and this is where you really get the true sense of what's going on here. The mother posts a Facebook picture of her daughter,
Transgender son.
crying in front of a courthouse.
In tears.
In tears in front of the governor's office at the courthouse. And I'm just thinking to myself, so is this 9-year-old really choosing to go down to the courthouse, to sit in front of the governor's office, to cry in that setting? Was that the 9-year-old's idea?
Idealism, dude. Did I say that earlier? It's all about idealism. But on whose part? Yeah, you're right. It's probably the parents.
Well, and this is, of course, I'm assuming based on what the mother...
Greg Abbott has to deal with this transgender son outside his office crying on the floor, Indian style. I mean, I feel bad for him, too. This is like... There's two sides to this issue, and the other one is Greg Abbott and this kid crying on his floor.
Well, and I'm sorry, in the post, the mother says, this sucks so hard. He deserves a summer vacation with his friends, not a political pissing contest with the Texas legislature. I'm thinking, well, he's 9 years old.
Yeah,
did he drive
stop
himself?
at any point. Yeah,
what, did he drive himself to the legislature?
Yeah,
did he drive to the governor's office? Did he drive himself
there?
there?
That is outlandish. That's a first world problem. If I've ever heard one
Of
before,
course
that is total. I couldn't have my summer vacation because I was too busy boycotting the governor's office or something.
As a 9-year-old.
As a 9-year-old, dude.
And of course, what we have here is a mother who identifies with her transgender daughter, son. However you want to look
daughter.
At it.
I don't know. He looks like a boy to me.
He looks like a boy,
but he's trying to.
At 9 years old, puberty blockers. I'm sure he's getting hormone treatments. The works, so that mom can say she has a transgender son.
I mean, the frogs are gay. And this is the reason why is with the hormone blockers. Not the kid in Texas necessarily, although he could be part of the problem. I don't know.
The 9-year-old
I'm just talking specifically here.
The 9-year-old transgender son is replacing the Mercedes in the driveway for the liberal elites. That's what's going on here.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because, of course, gender reassignment surgeries at pediatric offices do not come cheap. So, right.
Yeah, I mean, body modification... been going on for a while.
So, and on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up here for tonight.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Always is, as it always is.
Bill and Sean.
And we will catch you in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.